Hi, I'm Steve Marcroft from Marcroft Grains Pathology. We do work on canola diseases. In 2014 we saw an unusual blackleg symptom across lots of crops in southern Australia. Now the symptom was blackleg cankers, which instead of being at the crown, which was with a typical infection, they were up in the stems and branches. So blackleg is a disease which results from airborne spores. The spores land on the leaves and cause lesions, and it's from these lesions on the leaves it goes down within the vascular tissue, down to the crown, to the base of the plant, and causes a stem canker. And in severe cases, the plant can fall over and die. In 2014, we saw these same cankers occurring up in the stems and on the branches. Now, the reason for this, we think, is fairly environmental. So in 2014, people sowed their crops early, and we also had a very mild autumn and a very mild winter, and therefore the crops just developed a lot quicker than they normally would. So people were saying that their canola crops were getting towards a month earlier in development than what they normally see. So what we think happened in 2014 was when the spores were falling on the crops, because they were more advanced, were at the early branching or maybe even early flowering stages, whereas normally they'd be at that leaf stage. So in a normal year, there's no stems or branches for the blackleg to actually infect. It has to infect the leaf. In 2014, the stems and branches were there, so we saw the infection directly on the stems and the branch, and therefore we saw these cankers forming higher up in the canopy. And that's what we think happened. Unfortunately, in 2014, we think these new symptoms in some cases, cause some more yield loss than we typically see at the crown. Now, the control for this is basically to think about when you sow your crop, to try and get your crop branching and flowering in that normal flowering window. So coming out of winter when it's not too cold and we get these spore showers. The other thing that we saw last year was that some of the resistance groups got the canker in the branches and some of the resistance groups didn't. So if you go to the Australian Blackleg Management Guide, it's the cultivars in groups D, E and F which didn't get the symptoms, and groups A, B, C and S did. And that's simply a mechanism of the pathogen working with the different resistance genes. Some of the resistance genes in Australia have been overcome and some haven't, and that's what we're seeing there. Thank you.